Well, hey guys, I'm Nick and welcome back to the channel. Well, today's episode of Star Trek Prodigy, All the Worlds a Stage, was a really nice hit of nostalgia back to some original series moments. We had a whole society of people worshipping Starflight as opposed to Starfleet. We had bizarre hand signals that were just kind of like close but not quite right. And, you know, gestures of live logs and proper and all sorts of things that were just sort of close in the ballpark, but this particular species didn't quite get things 100% right when it came to all things Federation and Starfleet. And this week's episode, All the Worlds a Stage, episode 13 of season 1, goes back and looks at some of the Kirk era of Starfleet, even right down to somewhat cheesy impressions of Kirk himself. So yeah, it was a good hit of nostalgia this week. I think we had a cool episode that was a bit of a follow-on from the Galileo 7 episode from original series. We're going to go into that. We're going to talk about some of the references, all the little hidden clues and hidden secrets that were kind of thrown in there. There's a lot of them, so we'll have a look at all the ones that I picked up on. Maybe you guys picked up on some extra ones as well. And just take a look through the episode and give it my weekly review. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to Sci-Fanatics yet, please don't forget to do so. Click on that big subscribe button. It's not a big red button anymore. It's a big white button with rounded corners now. No longer red and square. So regardless of the shape of the subscribe button, please don't forget to click on it. And stay up to date with all the latest Star Trek and Sci-Fi TV news on YouTube. So this week's episode, we start on the Dauntless with Admiral Janeway and her crew interrogating the Diviner. They're getting a little bit more information out of him. I'm honestly, his race must be very resistant to Medusans because he doesn't really seem all that affected to any great extent at all. Like normally the gaze upon a Medusan would either kill people or send them completely insane, but he seems to be coping relatively well based on what he's gone through. So I guess his particular physiology makes him somewhat resistant to Medusans. The kids are a bit disappointed because they can't go and seek out Starfleet because they know the virus is on board the ship. They're doing everything they can to try to get rid of the virus, but nothing is working. So they're just going to have to kind of put a bit of distance between them and Starfleet for now. As we're going through the montage here at the start of the episode, I did notice that in the locker that Dal was going through on board the Protostar, they had one of those little games, the little games that beam the geometric shapes into your eyeballs, the one that Wesley Crusher and Ashley Judd had to save the rest of the crew from being addicted from them. There was one of those little games lying there in the bottom of the locker, which was kind of a, spotted it there. And before long, our heroes get a distress call from this colony. They go to investigate, and they realise that, there's a colony of people at one point in the past, around 100 years ago, Kirk's era. It looks like a Starfleet vessel has crash landed on the planet, which is the Galileo from the original Enterprise, Galileo 7. So at the end of that episode in the original series, I think it was drifting through space. It had been abandoned or whatever. They rescued the crew, but the shuttle was lost. So obviously that shuttle's drifted through space and ended up crashing, landing on some planet somewhere. This particular race of people, who now call themselves the Enterprisians, have kind of listened to, I guess, some captain's logs and some, historical records, but not quite, understood them, not quite got everything right. They're doing hand gestures that look like this and not this. They're saying live logs and proper rather than live long and prosper. They're trying their best to be part of the Starfleet family, but they're not quite doing a great job of it. They're getting everything just a bit mixed up and a bit wrong. They're trying to do Gorn fight maneuvers. There's a couple there who are like karate chopping each other on the neck, which is straight out of the Gorn episode from original series where Kirk fought the Gorn. So they're trying all these little maneuvers and things which we're sort of seeing reflected back in their society, which was, I think, really cute. And also, when our heroes from Prodigy arrived at the colony and they walked through the colony.
Welcome, my Federation brethren, to New Enterprise.
The music that was playing was the theme from Star Trek IV: Voyage Home. or if it wasn't the theme, it was incredibly similar to the actual theme from Star Trek 4. So nice to see Nami Melamood getting some inspiration there from James Horner's score for Trek 4. I love the Enterpriseians or whatever, and they're talking like Kirk would talk, and Sulu, they're mimicking all of the gestures and the speech patterns of Sulu and Kirk, but they're I think they're getting the names a little bit wrong, the Sulu and the James T and they're talking about the ensign, which was obviously an ensign that survived for a little while, I guess, on the planet to kind of tell them stories, and they're talking about all these sort of stories like their fables of the past, and this kind of reminded me quite a bit of Galaxy Quest, the way in Galaxy Quest that alien race had been watching all of the episodes of Galaxy Quest from Tim Allen and the rest of that show, and thought that they were historical documents and were trying to kind of emulate their society. So there was definitely some shades of Galaxy Quest here in the way this sort of culture had adopted the teachings of Starfleet, but they hadn't quite got everything right. They didn't quite understand all of the concepts and the speech and everything, and they just got it a little bit wrong. A bit similar to the aliens in Galaxy Quest, I thought. So yeah, there was definitely some shades of that going on here. And of course, everyone's being sick. They're coming back from this area saying all of the gallows and everything. It's this wicked plague or whatever it was. But the gallows obviously turned out to be the shuttlecraft Galileo, which I guess was the same Galileo shuttlecraft that was in the Galileo 7 episode of original series that was, I guess, set adrift. And they rescued the crew, but the shuttlecraft was lost, so I guess that drifted through space and crash landed on their planet here, and that's what's been causing the trouble with their society. So yeah, that was a nice little link back to that. One of our Enterpriseians, I noticed the voice was very, very familiar. And of course, it was provided by Fred Tatasciore, who of course does the voice for Shax on Star Trek Lower Decks. He provided the voice for one of these local inhabitants, Enterpriseians, on this planet. So it's nice to see that the shows are sharing their voice actors between animated series. And it was cool at the end how we got a couple of the local inhabitants to come up to the protostar and help them fly the ship, because they were a couple of people down, so they had to get them to help, but they didn't know how to work the newer version consoles. So Hologram Janeway imposed a holographic overlay to the console so that they would be able to fly the ship. And I thought it was quite cool how they basically all transferred into Kirk's Enterprise console buttons and displays and everything, just for this group of people who had learned, I guess, how to do things on those sort of systems. Although I was thinking when I was watching, I thought, hang on, shouldn't it look like Strange New Worlds? Maybe what are we calling canon in terms of the Enterprise look now? Does it look like the '60s Star Trek, or should it look like Pike's Enterprise from Strange New Worlds? So I thought, which one should it be? But I guess considering they were doing the impressions, they had all the Kirk's crew as homage. I guess it made more sense for them to do the displays like Kirk's Enterprise from the 60s. And of course, at the end of this episode, we get a little bit of mystery coming in at the end, with obviously Murph has been sick for the last couple of episodes, and it appears like he's got into a cocoon. So, does this mean, Murph as a kind of a caterpillar-esque creature is going to arise from his cocoon in some sort of beautiful butterfly?
Finally, I'm a beautiful butterfly!
Or is something else going on here with Murph? Is Murph going to be transformed into something completely different when he comes out of his cocoon? Is he pregnant? Is he going to come out with babies? I'm not sure. Only time will tell, but no doubt something is going to be changing in a big way for Murph, it would seem. All in all, I thought this was a great episode. Nice hit of nostalgia back from the Galileo 7 episode of original series. We had plenty of cool, funny moments and references with, the aliens doing Kirk and Sulu impressions, and, the plays and the performances, and, and all those little in-jokes and references and stuff as well. So I thought this was a really entertaining episode of Prodigy. But what did you guys think? Leave it your thought in the comment section. Let me know what you thought of this episode, what bits and pieces you might have noticed or picked up on as well. Don't forget to let me know what you thought. Guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to do so. And also leave a super thanks if you can. That really helps the channel out as well. And pick up a t-shirt of mine or two at the merch store, where you can see all manner of Star Trek themed merchandise and everything. I've got so many new designs in there, so please check it out, and it helps support the channel. And you pick yourself up a huge bargain as well. I'll be back very soon with my next video. I'll catch you guys soon.